Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to WTF Homestead. I'm Jenny. I just wanted to come on today and do not really an update, but just kind of a list of things that I am wanting to get done for 2022. And the original reason for starting this whole channel. So my original goal was to challenge myself. And I'm really doing that. For one thing, I am really getting outside of my comfort zone in doing the videos and things like that. I'm definitely not one of those people that wants to be in the center of everything. So I've had to really kind of overcome some fears that way. But a lot of it too is pulling myself kind of out of this funk, I guess, for lack of a better word, that I've been in since I left my job in September of last year. I've had a really hard time kind of staying focused on things and getting things done. And there are some things that we really want to do. Our whole goal in moving out here into the country with some acreage and stuff was to be more of a homestead. And we really want to be as much as we can be. We want to be self-sufficient. There are a few things that we probably won't be able to do, but within reason we would like to do it as much as we can. So of course, you know, that is a garden, which is a huge deal for me. I do not have a green thumb. My grandmother, bless her heart, she could grow anything, and I'm hoping that somehow I'm able to harness some of that. It's in my genes. I'm hoping that it comes out. I have a hard time keeping house plants alive and things like that. I actually have one right here in the corner, and look at it. Oh my goodness, I've had such a hard time with keeping them, but I'm determined to do something. Part of my issue is that I get online and I start looking at other people's gardens and things like that, and I love the look of plants, and I love seeing all the colors and the things that they're getting and stuff like that. And so last year when I started a bunch of seeds, oh my gosh, I think I started seeds for everything. I had broccoli, cauliflower, lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, corn. I had all kinds of stuff started, and I had quite a few things that came up, and nothing. I was not able to get anything other than a few potatoes, and that was a total accident that I got some, and they were tiny. I think I got maybe 20 or so, just teeny tiny little potatoes. So this year I am absolutely determined to have an actual garden of things that we can actually eat. And so part of that was really honestly taking a look at what I want to plant because of what we actually eat. There are a lot of things that, you know, the plants look absolutely incredible, and it would be awesome to be able to say, hey, I grew this or I grew that. But in all honesty, it's not something that we would eat on a regular basis. And there are a few things that we eat, but we just don't eat a lot of. And so I don't really see the benefit in growing a ton of it, and we just don't eat it. So there may be a few things that I'm just going to shop the sales and buy that particular thing when it's on sale to put up just enough stuff for the little bit that we use it. Things like corn. My husband and I, neither one are huge corn eaters. I cook with it in a few things, and there are a couple of ways that we like corn. But even then, it's, you know, just very small amounts, and that's it. So that's one that I really don't think that I will get into growing, but we'll see. That it could change over time. One of my goals also this year is that I really, really want to start eating more fresh vegetables and things like that, and really get more of those into our diet. We actually like them, but I just got away from cooking. So that brings me to another thing, and this is the one thing that started this whole YouTube channel. So when my husband and I, well, let me back up. When my kids were at home, I didn't work. I stayed at home. I mean, I worked off and on here and there while they were home. But for a lot of the years, I was at home, and I cooked every meal. I made homemade bread. I made homemade pasta. Everything was cooked from home. Now, that's not to say that everything was put up from home. Like, I didn't do everything from scratch. There were a lot of mixes. There were a lot of things like that. But I cooked at home a lot, and I was a good cook. I was a really good cook. There were a few things that I was awesome at, and I was proud of it. Well, then as the kids started leaving home and everything, and I got a full-time job, and I worked for 12 years outside of the home full-time. And then, as the kids left, and it was just my husband and I, and it became easier with us working all of the time to eat out. And for the last few years, we lived in a very large city. We had an hour and a half commute one way, and then working, 8-9 hours on top of that. So we were gone all day long. And the last thing I wanted to do was come home and cook. So drive-through windows it was, or we would talk to each other on our way home, and we would meet at a restaurant and we would eat. And so I really got out of, for the last several years, oh gosh, it's probably been 5 or 6 years, that I really have not cooked at all. Little bits here and there, but we have become the people that we eat out at every meal. And I hate that. I really do. And we like it when we eat at home. We feel better. So that was really my biggest challenge, is that I am determined to cook more at home this year. So I am going to challenge myself that for all of 2022, my challenge to myself is that I'm going to cook at least 3 or 4 meals at home. And when I say meals, I mean mainly dinner. That's our biggest one that we tend to go out to eat a lot. So that is my biggest one. But I'm going to I'm not going to try. I'm going to do it. I'm determined I'm going to do this. So at least 3 days a week that we will be eating at home. And of those, one day of the week, I am going to do a new recipe that I have never cooked before. That is probably one of my biggest issues, and always has been. I have never been a huge meal planner or anything like that, because I absolutely hate to sit and look for, what am I going to cook? So because of that, I tend to go to the things that I cook all the time. And so we eat lots of spaghetti, those quick things that are just easy to do, because they're easy. So my challenge to myself this year is that once a week I will find a recipe, and I will make something brand new that I have never made before. And I'm really going to try to push the envelope by doing things that use techniques that I've never done. I want to try some things. I want to see what it is that we like, and who knows, we'll probably find something that we never thought we would like, and we end up loving. So that is my big thing. And I know to a lot of you that really might not be a big deal, but for me, that is a huge deal. And so I've kind of challenged my husband on top of all of that. I've asked him to think of the one thing that you would absolutely love to try that is a big thing. So I've left that up to him, and I said, I want you to find one thing that you would love for me to try to cook, and I'm going to make that my year-end big meal that I'm going to do to kind of cap off this whole thing. So that is 52 weeks. That is 52 new meals that I am determined to come up with. So if any of you have any ideas, I'm going to be scouring the internet for something different every week. I'm going to try my best to film everything, or at least take pictures of those new meals that I do. And especially if it's something that we love, I would love to share it with everybody, so that, if you're interested in it and want to try it, then we'll go for it. And I'm even considering maybe even doing a couple of live shows while I'm cooking those. We'll just kind of have to see how all of that goes. It's all, like I said, very, very new. So we'll figure that out. But that is a huge goal of mine. Another one would be, that kind of goes along that same line, and kind of with the gardening thing, I really want to pare down what it is that I'm going to be growing, and things that I'm going to be putting up, whether it's canning dehydrating, freeze drying, whatever I'm going to do, I'm trying to look at my pantry and see what is it that I buy on a regular basis that is a mix. I want to try to get out all the preservatives and things like that out of our diet as much as we can, so that we'll feel better and everything. I mean, we're not getting any younger. So as a matter of fact, I turned 50 this year, which is a hard one for me. So as a matter of fact, I turn 50 tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday. So, we are really looking at just kind of a turning point in everything, in, where we live, how we live, the things that we eat, things like that. So I don't really want to call it a New Year's resolution. We're not real big on doing things like that. This is really something that we've been looking at for several years, and we're finally just taking the opportunity to just jump off and do it. So looking at my pantry, I'm just kind of seeing what is it that I buy on a regular basis? What do we eat on a regular basis? And is it something that I can make on my own? And another challenge to that is, like I said, it is just my husband and I. And I think one of the, one of the hardest things that we have had to do, or that I have had to do, is recipes are for 4, 5, 8 people. And it's just the two of us, and we don't eat very much. And so when I make something, it is just so much food, and we've had a lot of food waste, and I just despise that. So recipes are hard to find for just 2 servings. Now, I don't mind even doubling that and making 4 servings, because we would just eat it, for one more meal. But neither one of us want to eat over and over and over again the same thing. We're just not that way. I know that we would get bored with it, and we would be too tempted to say, oh, let's just run to the nearest drive-through window, and I really want to get out of that. So one of my goals is to figure out how to cook for 2 people. There are some things that I cook that I just cannot seem to get it out of my head. We had 3 kids. I am still used to, when I make spaghetti, soups, things like that, I make a pan full. I'm still making enough for my teenage kids at home, and I need to learn how to pare that down. I'm getting better, but there are still several things I'm having a really hard time with. And one of the things is, every now and then we like to have something sweet in the house, and so a cake mix is one of those things. It's just a go-to quick something to do. And a cake mix, if I made 1 whole cake, I end up throwing half of it away. It's too much. We can't eat it quick enough before it goes bad. I have tried to split those and make half, and they just don't turn out right. So I am determined this year to find a cake mix, and I'm actually looking at a few recipes, and so I'm going to try those, of making my own homemade mixes and things like that, and figuring out what it is that I need for me to make a small little cake, so that we can each have a piece for a couple of days, and then that's it, and not have a cake sitting on the cabinet for a week, and then I end up having to throw it away because it goes bad. And I'm not, I know a lot of people will say, why not just freeze it, things like that. We have such limited freezer space. We've talked about buying another freezer, and we probably will, because one thing on our list to do this year is I believe we're going to be doing a half a cow that we're going to be purchasing and putting up. So we're definitely going to have some freezer space for that. But my freezer will be full of meat. So, to be able to put things in the freezer, little things like that as I make, it's just not, it doesn't work for us. So I want to try to figure out how to do it on my own, and that is a big goal of mine. So that's really my challenge for myself, and this is where I wanted the channel to hold myself accountable, to say this is what I'm going to do, and I have it out there. I can't back away from it. I can't. I'm depending on you guys to keep me honest. So that is, like I said, that is number one for me. I know it really may not be a big deal for a lot of you, but for me, it is a huge deal. So other than that, we have the regular things that, sorry, I'm looking at my list here so I don't forget. there's a few other things that I have, our goals to do. Of course, I'm going to be putting up my greenhouse. I was actually hoping to already have it up. I kind of wanted to have it up before we got really cold, just because I wanted to see what are the temperature differences between the greenhouse and outside. And I haven't had a chance to get out there and do that, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that one day this week. We've got 2 days. Yesterday was really cold. Today's really cold, but we have a couple more days coming up that's supposed to be a little bit warmer. So maybe I can get out there and get it done then. I have garden beds that need to go in. Compost is a big deal for me. I don't know why. I think this is one of those things that in my head, I have made it so much more difficult than what it probably is, but it's just one of those that I start thinking about it and it's just information overload. I don't know why. It's probably one of those that once I finally figure it out, it's gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is just so simple, and I have just totally blown it out of proportion in my head. But getting my own compost going has just, I just have not been able to do it. So this first year, I'm actually ordering in a truckload of compost. So I'll have it started for my garden to have the compost brought in, but I will be starting my own compost after that and getting it going and having it cooking all year long so that I'll have it ready for next year. And we were actually lucky enough this year that we had a bunch of work done out on the road with the power lines, and they had to trim and cut down a bunch of trees all along our road. And so we just went out and asked the guys when they were out there working on it. They had the little wood chipper that was going along behind them when they were chopping up all the stuff. And so we asked them if we could have the wood chips. And so I think I have 5. I think we ended up getting 5 truckloads dumped out here in the back part of the property. So cut tons of wood chips, and oh my gosh, so many leaves. We have not raked a single leaf up out here, and it's awful. We should have already done it, and we haven't done it. So I have a lot of that stuff that's already started. So I'm determined to get my compost going. I think I've got a pretty good start of at least the things that I need to get it going. So that's another big goal for this year. Of course, like I said, the garden, the chickens, we are definitely getting chickens. We've got to get the coop built. That'll probably come right after the greenhouse. I'm actually waiting because I want to put this greenhouse together. I bought a kit, and it's just like a hoop, a greenhouse, and it was relatively cheap. When we started looking, lumber is just so incredibly expensive around here. And even though we're a homestead and we have a little bit of wood out there that's just used and things like that, it's actually earmarked for other projects. So I don't want to pull away from that. So I was to the point where I'm going to have to buy lumber to get a greenhouse or anything like that started. So we started looking at everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, lumber has just gone up, just skyrocketed in price. So we've been looking at other alternatives, and I just got on there one day and started searching, and I found this one. I have not looked. I probably don't even want to know if it's made in China. It probably is because it was cheap. So I don't even want to know. Oh my gosh, that just brings up a whole new thing. But anyway, it was relatively inexpensive and way cheaper than what I could have bought lumber. So I'm going to try it. If it turns out okay and I like it, I got to looking at it and thought, honestly, it would work as even a chicken coop. Of course, I would have to put in the boxes and things, the nesting boxes for them, but I don't know. So we've kind of put off the plans of building a coop until I get this put up, because I really want to look at it and see if it may work. It may be an option for doing and to get one put up relatively quickly and inexpensively until we find something a little bit more permanent. And a lot of that reason is this would be easy to move around if I needed to. It wouldn't take a lot to get it to move around. So I'm not sure where I want my chickens to be in the end. I kind of have an idea, but we have issues with getting water out to certain areas. So that has really kind of dictated where I'm putting my garden and where the chickens can go and stuff like that, because I've got to be able to get water to them. So anyway, that's another thing that's on the horizon, is getting the chicken coop together. Another big thing for this year is bees. We have always wanted to have bees. We wanted to have bees even when we lived in town. And of course, that's just much harder, although some people have been able to do it, but it's a lot harder to do. So that is one thing that, as a matter of fact, that was one of the things that when we bought the property, it was like, oh, where are we going to put the beehives? So that will be a whole new adventure. We don't know anything about it other than what we've done a lot of research and stuff online. There's a couple of classes locally that are coming up. And so we're going to try to make some of those and get those done. So hopefully that's really going to be a lot more my husband's project, but I'm going to try to kind of see try to film the progress with it and when we get it going. So when we get that going, I'll definitely do some videos on that so everybody can kind of see. So other than that, I mean, those are really the really big things that we've got planned for this year. So the channel is definitely not just going to be a cooking show. It will definitely have a lot of outdoor things that we have planned. So I just, I hope that everybody sticks around. I hope that everybody really enjoys what we're bringing. And more than anything, what I want from this channel is just really kind of to meet other people and to have the encouragement to keep going on. I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know it's going to happen, but I'm going to work through them, and we're going to make it one way or the other. So just follow along with us if you're interested. Give us some encouragement along the way. I have lots of people that I still follow on YouTube, and I'm not going to quit. They have so many good ideas, and they're just a lot of support, even though we don't really even know each other. So just if you are interested in any of this, if you are interested in following along, please subscribe to the channel. If you hit the little, I've heard from a couple of people that they're not getting the notifications, and I don't really know why. I don't know if that's a YouTube thing or not. If you hit the bell, it's supposed to alert you to let you know when new videos come out. I should have a few coming up here in the next few days of some things that I've had going on here in the kitchen. Of course, there are a few more canning and things like that. And I am going to get more into my canning this year. Okay, so it's now 2 days later. In that last video, I don't know if you could tell that I was a little shocked and ended the video very quickly. So I was sitting here doing my video, and I was trying to wrap it up and getting very tongue-tied. But I looked over at the door, and I had left the door open because when I'm in here trying to video and I start talking, my dogs go crazy. So I opened the door so that they would be outside kind of running back and forth. And I'm sitting here talking, and I look over and I see Mia, who is my daughter's dog. And it's like slow motion. All of a sudden it dawned on me that, oh wait, that's Mia. And so I jumped up real quick. My daughter and my two granddaughters surprised me for my birthday. So it's now 2 days later, and they've gone back home, and I'm finally getting a chance to wrap up my video. I don't really even remember everything that I said earlier, but I know I was kind of ending everything. So just kind of a recap on my goals, I guess, is getting my garden together, getting the chicken coop put together, the meals. The meals is going to be the biggest issue, or the biggest thing for me to do, as silly as it sounds, but it is. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to try to document as much as I can, bring everybody along, and if you would like to follow along, as I was saying before, if you want to follow along and you enjoy this, please do. I need all the encouragement I can get, and hopefully I can encourage somebody else who's in the same boat that I'm in. So I look forward to meeting everybody that wants to join in, and even those that don't, that just want to come see what chaos I've created for the day. So I encourage everybody to just follow along, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. So I will see you next time. Everybody have a great day. Goodbye.